Welcome to the C-Suite podcast from Slush 2023 from a beautiful and snowy Helsinki. We're producing this podcast in partnership with Remote, the global HR platform. I'm your host, Graham Barrett, and I'm going to be speaking to the attendees from Remote Stand here at the event. Really hope you enjoy the conversations. I'm now here with Vlada Musvydaite. She is the CEO and founder of Walk 15. Vlada, lovely to see you here today.
Hello.
Talk to me about Walk 15. What is this all about?
Walk 15 is a sustainable activity platform for companies. And what we do, actually, we engage companies' employees and we help especially for HR person to have amazing, simple tool. And then they can create a lot of activities, challenges, and of course motivated people to choose good habits and to walk more.
So if you download the app, which I have, and I'm now using Walk 15, you can use this where you live, but also, say you go on holiday or you go on a business trip, you can do challenges in those locations as well, correct?
Yes, correct. And the app is free to use. Actually, we work global and we already have 26 different languages. And for example, you came because you want, to download this app. We didn't promote our app for B2C. We promote only to the B2B companies, which generated for us not only users but revenue too. This is about the business model.
Yeah, well, talk to me about the business model then. What is the business model behind it?
Companies buy our annual subscription and then they go to our platform and then can create unlimited time, challenges for their employees. And it's an amazing thing because they can, it's very simple. Your employees should only scan one QR code or one active link, and that's all. They participate all together. And for example, it's very good because you can participate in different countries, whatever you are. And of course, after that, you can buy something only with your steps.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And so you founded you came up with the idea in 2019, wasn't it?
Yes.
So can you believe how far it's come in that short time?
No, of course.
What did you imagine when you first set up?
Actually, my world was only Lithuania. And this tool I create for my kids because I have 2 kids, and I think that I want create a better world for my kids, and special in school. And then we reach. I remember first 10,000 app users. It was huge for me. Oh my God! And now we have 602,000. app users. It is 20% of all Lithuanian population.
Yeah.
It's so huge, and actually
it's hard to get your head around.
Yeah.
So what have been the challenges then of growing the business?
Yes, of course, people. How to find employees, and actually now it's our main focus, Germany market. And actually the challenge is, first of all, how create a company. All agreements. How to find employees, how to find a company which can help you, support you, because now all companies want to help you and said we will find for you employees and etc. But it's not easy to find maybe a salesperson or what you want,
When you first came up with the idea, as you said, it was just really for your kids. You didn't really have a business in mind at that point, or in the back of your mind somewhere, did you?
No, it's for me because we born from community. 2016, we together with my team, we create a walking competition. It's physical event. Just you walk 15,000 steps. It is the track. You go with your family, and after that you buy in steps market. You can buy only with your steps fruits and vegetables, in this physical event. And for years, we looked at people so like our idea. Maybe we can, create some tool, and then, it's of course in our tool should be step challenges, then step wallet, and the tracks, and then we present this tool for our audience, and it's very interesting. When was COVID, actually we started to help for schools and especially for teachers, and we create school challenge. Which school is the most walkable school, for example, in Lithuania? And then, started call for us parents, because they didn't believe that their kids started walking, and it's super. Maybe you can arrange something, for our company, and how everything is started.
Snowballed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go back to the talent bit then as well. So how big is the business in terms of the number of employees, and how do you make sure that the people you're attracting to the business are the right fit?
Yes, now we already have 20 people in our office in Vilnius, and our strategy is that we're looking, for example, now for the German salesperson, but he or she should, to live in Vilnius, first of all. And then next step is to find, of course, in Berlin, for example, amazing salesperson which believe in startups. And of course it's difficult.
Yeah. So what still excites you about Walk 15? Obviously you had that idea, you came up with it for your kids. What excites you today when you wake up in the morning?
Actually, I'm very happy and I'm very proud that we already reached our goal in Lithuania, and I changed this world as Lithuania, and we grow. We change Lithuanian people habits, and now every time it's amazing, because that everybody which know Walk 15, and then they see me, they show me the steps as you. Yeah. And it's so crazy.
Yeah.
And people like this idea, and I think the most important thing it's the vision, and not money, but the vision. And my vision now is to change, really old world habits, and Germany, and later, of course, we will go to the US.
Well, look, I don't normally endorse things on this podcast, but I'm happy to endorse Walk 15.
Amazing.
Vlada, Musvydaite, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm now here with Fredrik Hanell, who is the Director of Impact Venture at EIT Urban Mobility. Fredrik,
yes.
Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me.
No, thanks for coming by and speaking to us. So, could we start first by just getting an introduction from you about what EIT Urban Mobility is and what you do?
Yes, so EIT Urban Mobility is an organization co-funded by the European Commission with the purpose of creating more livable cities by supporting innovation in urban mobility. So typically we look at projects, academy courses, etc. But which is the main reason why we're here. We also work with startups.
Okay. So what are some of these kind of innovative solutions that you're looking at for cities?
Well, examples are, for example, everything from electrification, so electrification of roads, finding new electric vehicles that could replace the cars in the cities, for example. Everything from that to solutions enabling bicycles or solutions that push citizens to change their mobility behavior from, or rather towards more sustainable alternatives.
Yeah. How easy is that? Is it just about giving people more choice?
No, it's actually it's quite complex. So the startup we work with one startup that specifically has succeeded in this. They've even succeeded in reducing the emissions from from congestion in the city by 14% by nudging citizens and users to actually to move towards other alternatives. And this is based on behavioral science. It's quite deep tech originally. So people tend not to want to change, basically. So we have to push them in some way.
Yeah, we get stuck in our ways. Obviously, we like to go to work in the same way that we always have. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, okay, and then you talked about, you've spoken about your role with startups, and you're Director of Impact Venture. So what specifically do you do?
So my main focus is to invest in startups.
Right.
So that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So I guess what differentiates us from other kinds of investors is that we make it a point of investing in startups all across Europe and also the affiliated countries like Israel and Turkey, for example. And also, we look specifically for startups that actually can prove that they create a real impact in the cities. Which, of course, everybody says that they look at impact and they're doing impact investing, but very few can actually live up to it for real. And that's where we really try to put it on the forefront.
And how has Slush 2023 been for you? What kind of conversations have you been having?
I think we brought 22 of our startups to this show to expose them to first of all what Slush is, which is a fantastic event. It gives you a lot of positive energy, but this is the only place I think where you can find all the investors are here, and you can find other startups that are doing similar things that you can learn from. So the feedback that we get is pretty much that they have full agendas in reaching out and talking to investors in the one-on-one meetings, etc. If we look at what we as EIT on Mobility are looking at here is we want to position ourselves as an impact investor, of course. And so we want people to know that we invest in startups. We want people to know that we really are looking for the best ones out there as well.
Yeah. Now, we've been talking a lot today about the challenges of growing a business from, when the country where you started it, expanding that into Europe and beyond. What are some of your thoughts about how to do that effectively?
Well, actually, that is exactly the main value add that we can provide as a European organization, because many of the startups, they come to us and then they are looking for opportunities in other regions, in other cities, in other countries. And we are pretty much a network-based kind of organization where we try to get different parties to communicate between different countries, etc. So the startups are offered opportunities way outside of their own sort of geographical area, and also ability to scale going forward.
Yeah, so you're facilitating all of that. That's really interesting. Okay, so what's next then? What do you hope to achieve in the next, 12 months, beyond that?
Well, we're going to continue to invest. Hopefully we will have reached out to more startups here at Slush, so we'll get some really good candidates to invest in going forward. And if we become more and more positioned as a strong investor, this will allow us to actually to go in and to syndicate with other investors in future investments as well. So that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Sounds super exciting. Fredrik, Hanell.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Cheers.
I'm here with Dr. Finnur. He is the co-founder and CEO of Treble Technologies. Lovely to see you here today.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, well, talk to me about Treble Technologies. Give me an introduction to what you guys do.
Yeah, so we are a software startup working in the world of sound, and we're developing a sound simulation platform. That's a platform that will allow you to design the sound of basically anything. The sound of buildings, cars, tech products, and even virtual experiences.
Wow. So how long has the business been going now? Around 4 years, is that right?
Just over 3 years.
Yeah.
So we founded in late 2020.
Okay. And what have been some of the challenges along the way?
There have been quite a few challenges, as there should be. But overall, it's been kind of going in the right direction for sure.
Learnings, not challenges.
Exactly. Let's put it that way. But there's been a challenge in growing our team, for example. We need specialized talent and so on. Challenges in winning over customers, solving technical problems, just the usual suspects, I suppose, for startup building.
Yeah, you talked about talent. How do you find the right talent for the business?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have from the get-go tried to be a very sort of, how do you say, like a parent company. We put the word out and we kind of put ourselves out there, obviously to attract customers and so on, but also to attract talent. So we are active on LinkedIn and we're active in participating in conferences and so on, just to kind of so people are aware, and then kind of through word of mouth and so on, people become aware of Treble, and and then we snatch them up.
When you meet someone, do you immediately know if they're going to fit into the culture of Treble Technologies?
That's a really good question. I do believe that sort of, this initial gut feeling that you get when you meet people, usually my experience is that what you then end up, with is in alignment with your initial gut feeling. Not always, but
No, that's really interesting actually about gut feeling as well. How much do you rely on gut feeling as a successful business person?
Yeah, I think quite a lot. Maybe more than I would like to admit even, you know what I mean?
And what about expanding the business then? So you're headquartered now in Iceland, aren't you, in Reykjavik?
Yep, that's correct.
How do you go about expanding the business? What are your plans for going global, going European, going further afield than that?
Right. So what we do is inherently very global, I would say. So there's not a big difference. We don't have to adjust our product for different markets and geographies or something like that. And our customers are from all over the world. And we basically, sort of try to scale and win over customers everywhere, do marketing everywhere in the world, and likewise with talent, we try to attract people from everywhere, and we are still kind of all in the same building, in Treble. We're around 35 people now. We kind of felt that at least here in the early days, that's a nice way to do things. It's not the only way for sure, but but moving forward, whether we will all stay in Reykjavik, I'm not even sure that that's viable, so probably opening up offices elsewhere and so on.
Well, exciting times, What's the culture like in Reykjavik? Is that a good place for startups?
Absolutely. The kind of startup scene and ecosystem is really good and booming, and there have been some very successful companies built there. It's changed a lot in the last 10, 15 years, to the better for sure.
Okay. Well, what about the future then? So what does that look like for Treble Technologies? We talked a little bit about expansion, maybe an office in different locations. What other plans do you have?
Yeah, I mean, we sometimes say that we're scaling up and scaling out. Scaling up in, the traditional sense of selling more and putting it more out, what we have put out, and scaling out in the sense of kind of expanding our product and platform to address more markets and so on. We're just about to kick off our Series A fundraising efforts now. We're excited about that, going into that quite optimistic, because things have been going very well at Treble, and so maybe grow the team up to 50 people or something like that in the coming year.
Just finish up with talking me through that fundraising round. How does it actually work in practice? I mean, how long does that process last, and is it quite stressful?
Right, it's at least a lot of work for sure. And it is you're kind of always fundraising to some extent, because you're always sowing seeds and meeting people over the course of a long time, and meeting investors. So we've been doing that for a while now. We've done 2 fundraising rounds also in the past, but now we're sort of officially kicking it off, which means that we go out and meet a bunch of investors. We kind of pitch them the business case that Treble is. And have a dialogue with what they can bring to the table beyond just the money, and because there's a lot of kind of value and partnership that you get working with investors beyond just the money.
Is it interesting to get that feedback from them? To get a different perspective on the business? Because obviously you know what you had in your mind, but I guess some people might think of it slightly differently.
Absolutely. And not all investors will get it, or kind of just be interested, or maybe it won't fit their kind of, what type of investments they do, and that's totally fine,
Okay, well, best of luck with that. Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast, Dr. Finnur.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've now stepped away from Remote's booth here at Slush in Helsinki, and I've come to this rather cosy, rather intimate little podcast pod here, and I'm joined by Daniel Wikberg, who is the CEO and founder of Upsales. Daniel, very nice to see you.
Good to be here.
Yeah, really nice to see you, and just wonder if I could first ask you about Upsales and about your journey, I guess, and what were you hoping to achieve when you first started Upsales?
Yeah, so it's a funny story. It's actually 20 years ago now. So I was only 21 when I started the business. And the background was actually when I was in high school, when I was just 16 years old, I actually built this very, very basic kind of sales tool for a company my father was running. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind. And then I was planning to go to do engineering studies. But decided to take like a sabbatical year, and ended up in a sales job. And I realized that the tools that were used back then to like keep track of customers and deals and so on were really crappy. So that was kind of the starting point. And then I actually moved on from that company to another sales position. And at that company, they didn't have a CRM. So I'm an old developer. So I spent like 2 or 3 days just to hack something together for my own use. And by chance, I just started talking about this with a customer on a call. And they said, yeah, but we need something like that. So I went back to the office, quit my job, and that was the first customer actually.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you find that with a lot of startups, it's solving a particular problem, and if you can do that, then there's obviously a huge opportunity. Now, tell me a little bit about some of the challenges along the way, and maybe some of the learnings that you've had when growing this business.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously in 20 years there's been quite a few challenges. So I think, one of them, we're a bootstrapped company, and I think that was the right way for us to go because since I was just 21 years old, I had zero knowledge about basically anything related to business. So, just learning what a business is and how to run a business at the same time as you're doing it is quite a challenge. I think, in the early days, you pretty much sell to any company and do whatever they want you to do just to stay alive. So I think kind of figuring out what should the focus be, who are the customers we should specifically sell to, and what specific problems should we solve for them, and having the guts to actually go for that. That took us quite a long time before we figured it out, I would say. So that was a big challenge.
Now, obviously, as you grow as a company, you need more people, don't you? So how do you attract and retain the best talent out there?
So I would highlight 2 things. The first one being trying to figure out what is your culture, and then figuring out at which other companies do you find a similar culture, and just pinpoint people in those businesses. And the second one is now when you're able to access talent like anywhere in the world, we have actually a specific example. There's a guy working in a I don't know which country, but a very, very exotic country in the Far East, and he's actually a professor in a specific area in computer science. So, I mean, being able to hire that guy without all the headaches of actually going there and setting up an office and everything, that has been an advantage for us. So we have more examples like that, but I think that's a good example of kind of accelerating how you can grow the organization.
Yeah. So how do you do that then? How do you find the talent out there?
So we tend to look at specifically at which companies do we find like a similar culture, similar to the one at Upsales. Because I mean, we are a bootstrap company. We have always been profitable, and that creates a totally different culture than the one you have in a like VC-funded business, in my opinion. So I think we tend to look for companies that has like similar size, similar culture, similar ways of funding the business, and then we just pinpoint people at those companies basically.
Okay. Well, to finish up here, tell me what's next for Upsales. What can we look out for from you guys?
So, I mean, again, I think we really nailed our focus in the last few years. So we have a very clear target group now. So we're active in the Nordic region. So getting more customers outside of Sweden, where we have our HQ. And the target is to grow the ARR from 15 million to 100 million euros in the next few years. So yeah, exciting times ahead.
Exciting times. Yeah. Well, we wish you all the best with that. Daniel Wikberg, thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you.
Joining me now is Jakub Korczak, who is the CFO of Proteon Pharmaceuticals. Lovely to see you here today.
Nice to meet you too.
Let's just start by talking about Proteon Pharmaceuticals. What's the idea behind it?
The idea is about bacteriophages. Bacteriophages are very little viruses which are present everywhere in the planet, probably the most spread organism on the planet. But they are friendly viruses. So they are viruses which fight bacteria, certain types of bacteria. If we want to target a bacteria, we use bacteriophage. They are very efficient and they are not providing no resistance over time in the bodies of people, for example. So yeah, what we combine them. We combine those phages into cocktails and give them as a feed additive to animals.
Yeah. So explain to me why there's a need for this, and explain to me what the AMR crisis is. What's that all about?
So it's antimicrobial resistance. So this is a resistance to certain antibiotics, which we have been using for almost 100 years right now, right? So people and animals are getting sick, and they cannot be cured by standard therapies because of the resistance that has been built over time in their bodies, because of what they consume, because of where they live, and so on. So there's a need to eliminate that from the environment, and there are ways to do it. First of all, eliminate antibiotics, use of antibiotics, or minimize it to an extent which is acceptable, and then find solutions to basically replace them with something that is not building any resistance.
Right. I mean, is this resistance something we should be quite worried about? Is this going to impact all our lives fairly soon?
Yeah. According to research done by World Bank, I believe, or United Nations as well, AMR is to become a similar, comparable reason for deaths in people by 2050, comparable to cancer.
Wow.
So it's a growing issue. It's definitely a growing issue. For the moment, it costs like 1.2 to 1.3 million lives of 1.2 to 1.3 million people a year.
Yeah. So I guess there's a need to grow this business to get this international, to make sure it helps as many people as possible.
So to develop therapies and to have a proven methods. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what at Proteon, what are your plans for growing the business internationally? How do you hope to do that?
Yeah, we are a company which is already product on the market, which is for poultry. We are a little bit struggling with entering European market because of the regulations.
Really? Okay.
We are waiting to register the product for a 5th year right now. It's been a pain. We are trying to grow outside of Europe. We have a subsidiary in India, and we are trying to have a better footstep there. And then we have a number of different products targeting different needs for like salmonella, like mastitis, like we have also methane reduction program as well. So a lot of, right? So we just need to grow. We just need to have more experience and have more clients and sell more to the market, basically.
Obviously, it's a very technical business, very complicated business by the sound of it. I mean, you need to have the right people within the company who know what they're doing. How do you go about that? How do you attract the talent that's going to work for you?
Yeah, so Proteon comes from Łódź. This is a city which has relatively well-established higher education systems. Right, we have university, we have technical university. This is where we're founder of the company, and a couple of our senior people come from. So we have regular access to people from the university. We are also growing the business in India. We are building a factory in Nashik, near Mumbai. There's also there are also good universities there. So we are trying to attract people there. So how we attract? It's access to new technologies. We have just opened this year a new R&D facility which employs 60 people in Łódź, and it's a state-of-the-art, really one of the most advanced in this business. We also have a phage library, on top of which we are building an AI tool to basically help us with creating certain therapies. So those topics, of course, attract people, but apart from attracting, of course, you have to be pretty competitive on the market, right?
Yeah. Once you've got that in the company, then you've got to retain that talent as well, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and of course, for the moment, the challenge, the scientific challenge is and then commercial challenge is one of those themes that attract people to the company. Over time, of course, while the company grows, it's also the part of the pay which is connected with employee stock, right?
Of course. So, I mean, that sounds like a high priority at the minute, growing the business internationally. Any other priorities at the moment?
Well, for the moment, we just need to scale the business, right? We have to scale to the markets and get finally the approval for sale in European Union. Western European markets and Western markets in general, they treat antibiotic resistance and our products in a very different way. It's about AMR. While in Asia, less developed countries, it's more about the animals not getting sick rather than passing on the AMR to people. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So it's a different need, but that need is also developing in basically everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, it sounds like essential work, so all the very best with that. Jakub, Korczak, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks, or Kitos, to all our guests who came to speak with me on remote stand here at Slush 2023. I really hope you've enjoyed these conversations. Please do follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And if you'd like to contribute to the discussion, you can find us on LinkedIn and all the other social channels. But for now, thanks for listening and goodbye.